Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
It's day 38 of the government shutdown, and the effects are being felt across San Diego County. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. We began on a positive note. Many locals who have been waiting for federal food assistance now have their grocery money for November. KPBS reporter Tammy Murga has more from the newsroom.
San Diego County says the process of reloading people's benefit cards began late last night. The program is called CalFresh in California. We've been hearing reports that people in the county who normally get their benefits by the 7th of the month have received their full benefits. There are about 400,000 CalFresh recipients in the county. Governor Gavin Newsom's office announced late yesterday that funds were being reinstated. The state says it started releasing funds after a federal court judge ruled that benefits should be fully restored during the government shutdown. Newsom's office did not say how the state was able to provide the funds. KPBS asked for an explanation but did not receive a response. CalFresh is a federally funded program. The state manages it and the county administers it. The San Diego Food Bank is among several agencies hosting emergency food distributions during the shutdown. In a statement, the food bank says the need continues. Many federal employees still haven't been paid, and they say December food benefits are uncertain. From the newsroom, Tammy Murga, KPBS News.
Air traffic controllers aren't the only airport workers affected by the government shutdown. TSA workers have also been working without pay for more than a month. Robert Mack is a lead TSA officer at San Diego International Airport. He's also chief steward for the union representing TSA workers. Mack says San Diego's roughly 600 TSA workers are getting food assistance from Feeding San Diego and help with gas from their union, but the lack of pay is still dire.
We're broke. A lot of people are not happy. They're hurting right now. People's savings accounts have been depleted. It's been almost 3 paychecks. So people who weren't planning for something like this, they're really hurting. They're trying to find other means of income and still perform the job that they're doing now.
Max says more than 15 officers at the San Diego airport have resigned since the shutdown. He expects more resignations if the shutdown continues. Delays and uncertainty for many travelers today amid air traffic cuts at core U.S. airports. According to FlightAware, 27 flights to and from San Diego International Airport were canceled today. That's about 4% of the airport's average daily flights. And the FAA says cancellations are set to ramp up over the next week. Here's Mary Bell Gonzalez with what you need to know if you're flying and tips to help you out on your journey.
Major hubs like New York City, Chicago, and here in Los Angeles are already feeling the effects of those flight cuts. But even if your local airport isn't one of the major ones affected, experts say these delays could trickle across the country.
We're hoping for the best, but, you know, we have no control over that.
The Federal Aviation Administration has ordered a reduction in domestic flights across 40 major U.S. airports, starting with a 4% cut Friday as the government shutdown continues. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy citing safety as the driver for the airspace closures.
We're trying to prevent the pressure that we now see building in the system.
Air traffic controllers among those bearing the brunt of the shutdown. Now weeks without pay, many are calling in sick and some are even resigning, according to their union leader.
They're calling in saying, I don't have enough gas to get to work, to their employer, to their supervisor and manager, and saying, what do you want me to do?
Anticipating the FAA orders, several major airlines canceled hundreds of flights scheduled for Friday and into the weekend. Passengers affected will receive a refund for their canceled flights. Meanwhile, travel experts are urging patience.
The more people are prepared and the more they are informed as to what's going on, the better.
And if you are jetting off this weekend,
download your airline's app and turn on notifications. That's how you're going to find out if your airline has canceled or delayed. Have a plan B in place already before there's any cancellation.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said Friday that Democrats would agree to end the shutdown in exchange for one more year of enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, an attempt to further pressure the GOP to make a deal. Reporting in Los Angeles, I'm Maribel Gonzalez.
Tonight, back into the 50s for the city and, of course, a few clouds out there. But as we head into the upcoming days, we are going to be talking about a warmer trend to come before we get into a big change next week. I'll break down that pattern coming up.
Earlier this week, embattled Poway Councilmember Tony Blain resigned just as an overwhelming number of his constituents voted to boot him out of office. The resignation is still reverberating in the city, and today the City Council held a special meeting to decide what's next in filling his now vacant seat. KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen was there.
His photo no longer on the wall. His seat is empty and his nameplate removed from the dais. But Tony Blain's presence is still being felt in the Poway City Council chambers today.
Didn't expect to be here this soon.
Mayor Steve Voss had expected to have this conversation in December after the Registrar of Voters certified the election, namely how to best fill Tony Blain's seat.
We made a commitment back in April that if we had a vacancy in the first 18 months of a term, we would hold a special election.
Poway could appoint someone to the seat, but in April, the council established a policy to hold special elections if there are more than 2 years left in the term. But that's not in the city code. Resident Pete Babbage urged the city council not to go back on its promise.
I'm not worried about a vacancy right now that we urgently have to have somebody there. So I absolutely encourage you to not go back on your pinky swear, hold the election.
The question now is, when would the election be? The earliest the city can hold the election is mid-April, and the latest is June, which would coincide with the primary election.
I would like to know the cost.
Cost is a concern, and with 6 weeks separating the would-be special election from the primary, the council voted to get more cost information from the registrar by their December 16th meeting.
Item passes.
So if we can save money and have more people involved in the election, I'm all for waiting for the June date.
Some good points come out about better turnout for us if it's in conjunction with the state primary.
The money to pay for the special election would come out of the city's contingency fund. Voss says it would have a negligible impact on the city's budget, but it will still be a significant amount of money. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Families throughout California are having fewer children. That means fewer students in local school districts. In San Diego, the South Bay Union School District is planning to adjust by closing schools in the coming years. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas has new details on how it might work.
The South Bay Union School District is shrinking. The district expected to lose more than 100 students this school year. That meant losing nearly $2 million in state funding. New data show it lost even more students and more money.
And these are ongoing losses. This isn't money that's coming back. It's just an ongoing loss. So having less kids than projected is even a bigger impact than we had previously thought.
The district's enrollment has dropped by nearly half since 2011, and it's expected to continue. Zach Worthen described just how much the district is changing.
A number as high as 8,000 students in 2017-18 to potentially as little as 3,790 by 2034.
In May, the district school board voted to close Central Elementary School after this school year. On Wednesday, they will decide where those students go next. Worthen presented two possibilities to the board last night. One would send Central students to neighboring schools. The other would redraw school boundaries throughout the district to balance out the number of students at each campus.
Taking the opportunity to address less serious enrollment challenges at other schools.
Along with redrawing boundaries, Superintendent Jose Espinosa says the district needs to focus on keeping the students it has.
What's within our control? Well, the low birth rates, that's not within our control. But the way that we serve the community, that is within our control.
The district plans to close 2 other schools by 2031. Those 2 schools haven't been chosen yet, but administrators have proposed Sunny Slope and Berry elementary schools. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the Trump administration pushes back against a court order to pay out full SNAP benefits during the shutdown. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Skyrocketing rents in recent years have taken a heavy toll on low-income tenants. They've also negatively affected government programs that subsidize rent. Housing vouchers represent the nation's largest affordable housing program. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says San Diego's voucher program is losing money fast and difficult choices lie ahead.
Simone LeBlanc was once solidly in the middle class. She had a good union job at AT&T for almost 20 years, but the job required a lot of repetitive motions with her hands.
My hands, when I was at work, they just started swelling really bad, and no matter what I did, ice. I went acupuncture. They were sending me to all these places. Nothing worked. So come to find out, it was a condition called decurve veins.
LeBlanc still has scars from the 5 surgeries that tried to fix the pain she was feeling. The surgeries ended up causing nerve damage. In 2008, LeBlanc couldn't work anymore and became disabled. She lost her house the following year. Then in 2012, LeBlanc's husband died suddenly. She knew she needed help.
I'm a widow with 2 kids. I have a disability. My son has disability. What is the waiting time for the Section 8? That was in 2013.
Section 8 housing vouchers, also called housing choice vouchers, are the largest housing assistance program in the United States. Recipients get to choose where they live and pay around 30% of their income on rent. The voucher covers the difference between that amount and what the government determines is fair market rent. Vouchers are extremely effective at preventing and ending homelessness, but the program isn't well funded. When LeBlanc first got on a voucher wait list, she was told the average wait time was around 7 years. 13 years later, she's still waiting.
Every year, I call Section 8. I call them and say, hey, do you guys prioritize people who are on disability, low income, people who have kids that are disabled? Oh, no, we do, but, you're on the list. I was like, okay, so pretty much the same stuff they were telling everybody else, but I thought I was going to be moved up a little bit.
So I would speak really to the last 10 years that I've been deeply involved in the sector, and this is the worst it's been.
Stephen Russell is president and CEO of the San Diego Housing Federation, a nonprofit that represents affordable housing developers. He says the rapid inflation in the housing market since 2020 has meant housing vouchers are reaching fewer and fewer people.
The need has grown, rents have grown, and the government subsidy that provides the Section 8 voucher has not grown. And so we are, seeing just a deepening problem, a deepening crisis in housing in general, and Section 8 in particular.
The Biden administration sought to make housing vouchers an entitlement program, similar to Medicare, where everyone who qualifies receives the benefit. But it never had the votes in Congress to overcome Republican opposition. Now, funding cuts from the Trump administration have pushed the San Diego Housing Commission, which distributes vouchers for the city of San Diego, into a deepening deficit. To balance its voucher budget, the agency can either kick 1,700 households off the program, or it can dial back its subsidies and require voucher recipients to pay more of their income towards rent. The agency prefers the latter, which Russell agrees is the least bad option.
To throw some people out of their homes so that others can stay is not a morally acceptable approach. This is painful. But I do believe that given the circumstances, the cards we've been dealt as a region, that this is going to be the most practical and ethical way to see that we can continue to support these families and keep folks from becoming homeless.
I've been told, oh, you can go to the food bank. I'm not at that point where I need a food bank. I would leave that for other people who need it.
Simone LeBlanc wears a pink T-shirt that says hope on it. But with Republicans controlling the White House and Congress, she's not feeling very hopeful. She remembers reading a story about a woman in Chicago who was on a housing voucher wait list for 29 years.
So I look at that, it's like, okay, well, 29 years from now, who knows, I might not even be here. But you just wait. What else can you do? I'm not going to let it destroy my life. I'm not going to let it stop me from continuing to do what I need to do.
The San Diego Housing Commission Board is scheduled to vote on a plan to balance its voucher program budget on December 11th. If that plan is approved, voucher holders in the city of San Diego will have to start paying more towards their rent roughly 1 year from now. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
While flight cancellations across the country make headlines, the 38-day government shutdown is squeezing Americans in other ways. A new report shows that's adding to consumer anxiety. Karen Kafa has the latest from Washington.
The economic toll of the record-breaking U.S. government shutdown keeps widening, from SNAP recipients in the middle of a legal back and forth over November benefits.
I've been disabled since birth, so I rely on food stamps and Social Security to survive. I've been struggling. It's been really hard. I've literally been eating spaghetti for 4 days because it's all I have in my apartment.
To government workers on the job without pay for more than a month, leaning on food banks and food drives.
Some of them, it's brought them to tears with the support that they've seen from the community and the outreach.
And small businesses feeling the squeeze of both higher prices and struggling consumers.
They're buying things that they can throw in their freezer and stretch to the last, towards the end of the month as well, because we don't know what's going to happen.
It all has Americans feeling worse about the overall economy, according to the latest University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey released Friday. The October index fell to its lowest level since June of 2022, when inflation peaked at a 4-decade high. Top White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett told Fox Business Friday the lengthy shutdown's economic impact is far worse than expected.
There are pockets that are really hurting, and if we go another month or so, then who knows how bad the economy could be this quarter.
Friday was supposed to bring the federal government's latest look at the labor market, but October's monthly jobs report, like September's, is on hold because of the shutdown. In Washington, Karen Kafa, KPBS News.
Information on current local food resources is available by calling 211, or you can visit the website at 211sandiego.org. The Internal Revenue Service is shutting down a free online tax filing system. The Biden administration announced Direct File last year. It aimed to help low and moderate income taxpayers file their returns early. However, Treasury Department officials say the program has been halted because it wasn't widely used. Fewer than 300,000 people used Direct File last year. COVID symptoms that don't go away affect tens of millions of Americans and hundreds of millions worldwide. KPBS Sci-Tech reporter Thomas Fudge tells us about a San Diego-based clinical trial to see if a popular weight loss medication can treat long COVID.
Fatigue, joint pain, headaches, and cognitive problems, sometimes called brain fog, those are the symptoms. The illness is long COVID, and so far there's no proven treatment for it. But tirzepatide, a drug used to treat diabetes and obesity, has shown a lot of promise. One doctor surveyed patients with long COVID who tried the drug showed that 60 to 90% of them saw improvement.
I had only been expecting like 30% of the population to improve, and we kind of powered the study around that. If it's really 60 to 90%, that would be amazing.
Julia Moore-Vogel is a professor and director of programs at Scripps Research, and she's leading 2 studies on long COVID. One of them is a clinical trial of tirzepatide. Scripps is recruiting 1,000 people with the illness to test the drug. Half will be given tirzepatide, and the other half will take a placebo. Vogel says they're a quarter of the way through recruitment. Another co-director of the study is Eric Topol, also of Scripps Research. research. He says this class of drugs has shown a lot of promise for lots of conditions, and tirzepatide is the most potent of the bunch.
And when I say more potent, we're talking about all the effects, not just weight loss, but we're seeing now heart benefit, liver benefit, kidney, migraine headaches, rheumatoid arthritis, and the list goes on, addiction.
Tirzepatide is made by a pharmaceutical company, Eli Lilly, which is providing the drugs for the long COVID trial. The trial is being funded by the Schmidt Institute for Long COVID, SILK for short. Tirzepatide is FDA approved, and even though it's meant to be a weight loss drug, Vogel says using drugs off-label is very common. And this one is being prescribed for long COVID. But not all doctors are confident the drug works, and getting coverage for it is a problem.
The challenge and the barrier for a lot of people is the insurance coverage piece, where the insurance company, of course, is going to require more rigorous data before they're going to pay for it, especially given how expensive these drugs are.
Julia Vogel's interest in long COVID is not just academic. She's lived with it for 5 years. Seen here in an earlier video, she says her illness has caused her to become homebound, and nothing she has tried has helped. But anecdotal evidence that 60 to 90% of long COVID sufferers were helped by tirzepatide has given her hope.
I was blown away by taking it and saying it helps them. I was blown away by that, and I really hope that bears out in the data.
Scripps Research is also examining results of a test of long COVID symptoms among patients wearing body monitors. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
Finding hope and healing after conventional treatments have failed. Amid the ongoing veteran mental health crisis, a growing number of our wounded warriors are turning to novel therapies in their mission to find peace. As Michael Yoshida reports, this includes psychedelic-assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder.
Something that I dove headfirst into and never looked back.
Veteran Navy SEAL Marcus Capone always answered the call.
SEAL Team 10 and Naval Special Warfare Development Group, and multiple combat tours to both Afghanistan and Iraq.
Serving until physical and mental wounds of war took their toll.
Went to see the psych, and he said, Marcus, you're the 200th guy that's come in here. I assume it's from going down range, but, I really don't know how to take care of this at the moment.
Marcus tried different doctors, medicines, and therapy, but things only got worse until 2017, when his wife Amber approached him with a Hail Mary, psychedelic-assisted therapy.
Honestly, I thought it was crazy.
After research and seemingly out of other options, Marcus decided it was worth traveling outside the U.S. to a clinic in Mexico, where the legal but unregulated psychedelic ibogaine is combined with therapy and medical monitoring.
My life completely changed. I did a 180. I felt again. I feel like I haven't felt anything in years. I was able to be, human again.
This therapy isn't for everyone, and there are different approaches. Some use ibogaine, LSD, ketamine, or MDMA to enhance the effectiveness of talk therapy and help patients reprocess traumatic memories.
Most of our standard psychiatric medications are meant to suppress symptoms. Psychedelics used in this way are not meant to suppress symptoms. They're meant to help people get in touch with and process.
Dr. Barbara Rothbaum has been pioneering PTSD treatments for decades, including an ongoing Department of Defense-funded study looking at effects of combining MDMA with therapy that helps patients gradually confront trauma.
It's not MDMA like kids are going to get in the clubs. People are monitored, they're screened to make sure it's safe for them to take it. They've got a lot of safety conditions, and it's combined with a lot of therapy.
Right now, except for a few exemptions, possession of psychedelics is a federal crime. But the tides may be changing when it comes to medical treatment, with possible support of Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins.
We're opening up the possibility of psychedelic treatment and others that give us an opportunity. We got to research it, make sure it's good.
While several states have passed bills supporting research into psychedelic therapy, it could be years before a federally approved treatment is available.
We shouldn't be fighting a war for our country, and then when we come home, have to travel outside the country to receive treatments.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
Well, of course, as we get into the upcoming days, we are going to find some pattern changes in our weather. The first step being a warmer trend heading into Monday. Many of us find the numbers headed on up through the afternoon. That's going to be dry weather then with a limited marine layer for us. Now, Once we get into next week, we'll be talking about the end of it coming with some bigger changes. We could even see some rain working back into our area. Details are still a little hard to nail down at this point in time. First up, though, let's start with tonight, 57 for that overnight temperature in the city as you head towards Oceanside. 51. We'll go to 47 in Ramona and 45 in Mount Laguna. Tomorrow, really no change in our forecast here as we keep things warm, quiet, and again, with a little bit of offshore flow, we're going to inch those numbers up as well. Temperatures back into the lower 70s in the city, 80 in El Cajon, head to Chula Vista, 71 for the high. Borrego Springs topping out at 87 in Ramona, again, 83 there. Next week, towards the end of it, we will have more cool, wet weather coming on in. Now, the question is how much rain, if any rain, do we really get? There's still a chance that we don't get much moisture, but I do think at least a little bit of precipitation gets in. And this is going to be more as we get into Friday and really the end of the week that we're talking about, the timeline there for that. So that's beyond the 5-day forecast, something to look out for. But until then, we do have those mild numbers, 74 for the high on Sunday at the coast, and we're still in the mid-70s on Monday. Notice how the warmest day inland is on Monday. Temperatures back into the upper 80s, so it is quite warm as we close out the weekend and go into the start of the upcoming work week before we cool down. Many of us find those lower temperatures by Wednesday. We'll go back into the upper 50s, for example, as we work our way into Wednesday in the mountain locations. But of course, not too many big changes here or in the deserts where we're close to 90 on Monday, coming back down to mid-80s for Wednesday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Melissa Constanzer.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. I'm John Carroll. Have an excellent evening and a wonderful weekend.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.